Good afternoon, folks. Welcome to another episode of My Dear China. Today we're going to look at the real estate industry in China because it's having a huge effect on the population in China who are trying to purchase homes. There are literally millions of empty apartments right now, brand new, that have never been moved into and apparently may never not be moved into, simply because the large real estate companies such as Evergrande and Kaisa are pretty much going bankrupt. Money-wise, Evergrande alone is in debt 2.4 trillion Chinese yuan, which is 334 billion US dollars. That's how much they're in debt. Construction has ceased in many of the construction sites around China, of which there are literally hundreds operating throughout the whole country, and they've all been put on hold for up to 2 and 3 years now. They're just not being built because the money's not there. So what happens here? So basically, you have a couple gets together, they get married, and it's a very cultural thing in China that the next thing you do is you provide your spouse with a home from which you can start your life. The finances required to do that come from a variety of places. Number one, the person's life savings. Both of their life savings go into this. And there's two ways of doing it. They can either put down a deposit for these apartments and mortgage the rest. The company still gets the mortgage money right away, and there's a promissory note that the apartment will be ready to be moved into in 1.5, 2 years, whatever the case is. The other thing that happens a lot is the down payment is hard to come by, so that's where the parents kick in the life savings, and oftentimes the grandparents kick in the life savings. So now you've got all of these people paying in to have this young couple be provided with a home to start their family with. They've lost all that. Many of these projects that have fallen by the wayside will never be finished. They will be imploded, taken down, and something else done with the property. Now, I would post information, I've explained this before, I would post information that the Western media has done on this subject, but then, the nationalists and the Wu-Mao will immediately turn around and say, oh, it's propaganda, or it's fake news. The information I use is directly from Chinese citizens themselves. And a lot of this information has to be taken very quickly off the internet because their censors take it out, because they don't want anything negative going on out on the airwaves about China, particularly with this one on the real estate. So let me just give you a quick example of halted construction projects right now in China. You got the Evergrande Kunming Lake project. It was started in 2018, unfinished. Remember, we're talking about towers, 35 stories high, 8 or 10 or 12 of them, all in a gated type community where the families all move in. They've got underground parking and so on. They're very nice little mini cities, but they stopped constructing them. The Evergrande Expatriate City in Yongzhenghai, the residences have finished and work has not resumed on the project. So it's half finished, not resumed. Evergrande International Health City, currently the doors to this property are securely locked, and again, construction has halted. Evergrande Cultural Tourism City, there's been no construction for over 2 years. The Evergrande Sunshine Peninsula, this project was started in 2019 and consists of high-rises, residences, and villas, which are still unfinished. And again, construction has been halted. The Evergrande City project, this housing project from 2020, was handed over to other developers in the hope that they could finish it up for the residents who have pre-purchased these homes. Now, the aforementioned projects are just a tip of the iceberg of Evergrande's construction projects that have been halted. There are literally hundreds throughout China that have been halted. All of these people with their down payments are waiting, and or mortgages are waiting to move into their residences. They have documents giving them a move-in date. Those dates have fallen by the wayside 2 years ago. So what is the recourse for these people? Well, those people with the deposit pretty much lost everything. Those people who have mortgages are paying a mortgage. Could you imagine paying for a home for 7 years that you haven't lived in? These people are now refusing to pay their mortgages. And of course, the government steps in when you do something like that, and you're going to lose a lot of brownie points. There's social points. And you're going to be put on all kinds of lists where you can't ride a bus, or you can't go on a train, or you can't leave the country because you stopped making your mortgage payments for a home that you don't even own. We're talking about hundreds of thousands of good Chinese citizens are in this predicament. Now, the Evergrande Royal Lake World is another example of a total disaster in the real estate market. It's the most credible project, abandoned project to date. This project is located in Sunshine City. The grand entrance, because they like to have those grand entrances of marble and so on, cost millions of dollars to build. So you would go through the grand entrance, and then you would have the towers and the villas and the tennis courts and everything. There's nothing but grass. Not a thing. Millions were spent. It's almost like the Arc de Triomphe in France that built that thing at the end with the walkway through. That's what it looks like, and that's the only thing that was built for millions of dollars, and the rest is empty property on the back side. The other project that screamed to a halt was the Hefei Evergrande Center, as well as the Evergrande Crystal International Palace and the Evergrande Central Palace and the North City Evergrande Hotel. All in one city. 5 huge projects, all sitting idle now. Nobody's there. The migrant workers who are working on them, they have to put food on the table. They've gone back to their towns, their villages. So there's nobody to work on these things. So again, at the end of April 2023, Evergrande's debt was 2,725 billion yuan. Now, there are other prominent real estate agencies like Kaisa as an example, and they're exactly in the same boat. So what do? What does a person do? You're frustrated, you're paying. First of all, you're probably unemployed because there's so much unemployment in China right now. People haven't had a good paycheck in 3 years. And prior to that, they thought that everything was wonderful, and let's get married and let's buy one of these apartments and let's put down a deposit. Let's borrow some money from mom and dad and grandma and grandpa, and let's buy this place. Well, it's not going anywhere, and the money's not coming in. So what do these owners do? Well, they went to the real estate offices and they went to the government offices to seek assistance. And what happened? They went there peacefully to complain to the government in the hopes that they would step in and put a stop to this misery. And what happened? They were arrested. They were beaten. They were thrown on buses and taken to police stations for further investigations. They protested peacefully, yet the police manhandled them. And according to the Chinese Constitution, what happened to them was totally illegal. So I'm going to quote direct from the Chinese Constitution. Citizens of the People's Republic of China shall enjoy freedom of speech, the press, assembly, association, procession, and demonstration. It's written right into the Chinese Constitution, and none of those things ever happen in China without arrest, detention, and persecution of people who would even think of going against the government or asking the government for help. They get squashed immediately. So that's where the real estate industry stands right now in China. It's not pretty. And again, we're talking about hundreds of thousands of people affected by these real estate agencies and what they've done and how they've operated. They operated carte blanche. They could do whatever they wanted to. 6, 7, 8 years ago, not a problem. Things happened. But now, it's not happening. They've run out of money. They've halted all construction. Nothing's going on. And some of these projects that they're into are like in the billions of dollars. Example, the Lotus Stadium. And so it's a very sad state of affair. So families are going to be upset. Families will maybe not be started now because they don't have a home to move into. There's a lot of ripple effect that goes through a society when the whole real estate industry falls apart as it has in China. Anyways, thanks for watching, folks. See you next video. Bye now.